From garage sales to thrift store aisles, we hunt for treasure, stacking them in piles. Hustling hard, making deals all day, flipping finds, turning profit our way. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest, learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name, reselling dreams, winning the game. Pure Hustle Podcast guides our quest, learning tricks to be the best. On eBay we make our name, reselling dreams, winning the game.
Welcome to Pure Hustle Podcast. I'm Mike.
And this is Orlando, and we're on episode 447. This is a themed episode.
That's right. And if you are listening on the podcast, we are live right now on YouTube. So if you're listening, you missed it. So make sure you come on over, hit the like and subscribe button so that you don't miss when we go live. And Orlando, we got to get better at advertising when we're going live. A lot of times it's like on Tuesday or Wednesday, we're like, hey, do you want to record today or do you want to go live? And we just kind of make it happen. So that's one of the reasons why you want to have those bell notifications, because Orlando and I, believe it or not, as much as we love reselling and resell all the time, and we love this podcast, we also have lives. And so our schedules get kind of wonky at times. And so if you're following us, you'll know when we go live if you have that bell notification on. And Orlando, today is a themed episode. What are we talking about today?
So today we're going to talk about shipping 101. So I thought we'd get back to basics. We haven't had an episode like this in a long time. So I thought, why not? We have a lot of brand new listeners. We have veteran resellers that may pick up a few things here. And since it's live, we invite people to comment and give us tips. If there's something we're missing, something we're not explaining well, let us know. But I do want to shout out here, Mary McQueen. Hi, guys. Haven't caught you guys live in forever. And Mary, she's from back in the day, like one of the original ones to listen to the podcast. Or you were like, you Totally Money Makeover. Didn't you scream like
Dave Ramsey?
Dave
paid off the bills.
Yeah,
that's
like
right.
So proud of you, and you've been reselling all this time. Like, again, Mary made it happen, right? Mary got herself out of debt. So if you're ever wondering, and you listen to this podcast and you're going, I don't know, I'm kind of done. Like, hey, it's okay. Just kind of, tone down a little bit, maybe list a few items a day. It'll be worth it. We actually had somebody comment on our last YouTube. They stopped reselling, but they should. No, not that they should, but they still watch our episodes. So I'm impressed. That's right. I do remember Mary says she shouted us out on this show. That's right, man. That was peak Pure Hustle Podcast, right? That was when eBay was inviting us to come speak to them. That was like, I felt we were like,
we should take a clip of that and make that part of our like intro or outro.
We should.
The time when
Mary,
one of our
if you
listeners...
have that YouTube clip, send us that YouTube clip somewhere. So I got a few other people, and then we'll get started. We got Black Cat Flip says, hi, caught you guys live for once. Always glad when I do. So glad. Hey, thankful to all of you that are here. So here's why I thought about shipping. So the other day I went sourcing with someone, and brand new. They had never done eBay. They've never sourced. And I remember, picking up a Patagonia, like a puff. It was like a nano vest, and I remember picking it up, and I go, I wonder if this person has any idea how to ship this. Like, do they even know what ground advantage is? Do they even know you can use a padded envelope and get it there faster? Like, what do they know, right? And I would say the vast majority of people that have never resold have no idea what shipping entails, right? And there's a lot of people that are new that still are, the learning curve I think is pretty tough on shipping, right? It's not like the other platforms like Poshmark or Mercari where they just offer flat shipping. You just sell the item, find a box, and then you just put it in. This one you got to weigh it and all that stuff. So we thought we would help everyone out. And so who should be listening here? I think it's for everyone. I think it's for everybody to listen. Because here's the deal. We've all made shipping mistakes. Mike and I have made a ton. My first huge shipping mistake was a golf lamp. I've shared this story before. where I sold a golf lamp. It was a nice lamp, but it was made out of is it ceramic? I think it was ceramic. And I put it in a box, and I just put the popcorn stuff in there. But I didn't like put bubble wrap on it. I didn't make sure it couldn't move. I did nothing. I just threw it in there with popcorn and shut the box, and I shipped it to Florida from San Diego. And when it arrived, I remember them sending me a picture, and it was broken into 1,000 pieces. And I thought, wow, I thought I shipped that well. So this can apply to anyone. I've never had anything like that since. I've had a couple items, but I got to tell you, out of, I don't know, I've sold, more than 10,000 items in the last few years. I think maybe more than 15,000. I've only had like maybe 3 or 4 items I was going to say 1 or 2, but I think it's like 3 or 4 items that has broken. So do you remember the first time something broke for you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, I remember I shipped some China that broke, which was really frustrating. Luckily, it was a situation where it was, I want to say it was like a Spode Christmas set that I had shipped. The person said that a few of the pieces broke. And so I, wanted pictures. I said, hey, send me some pictures. And, that way we could figure out like refund or return. And they never got back to me and never followed up. So like that was like a big, man, I got lucky on that one, because I was expecting like, well, they're not going to want any of it if some of the pieces broke. And so then, I mean, looking back, it wouldn't have been the end of the world, because if they would have shipped that stuff back, which probably would have broke more, because I highly doubt they're going to pack it very well coming back. I could have still parted stuff out and been profitable. But I remember one of the times when I was brand new, kind of learning how to ship items. I mean, when I first started, I was going to the post office, and I thought I was being clever by using the kiosk while everybody else was standing in line.
Yeah, right.
So I was using the kiosk and thinking I was saving money there. But I'll never forget, I was at it was a like a church rummage sale, garage sale. It was right outside the church, and I picked up a turntable, and I picked it up for a decent price, and I sold it for, I think I made like $50 or $60 on it, but I took it to the UPS store to ship it, because I still didn't, I mean, this was like probably in the first like 20 items I'd ever shipped. And this is the biggest item I had shipped. I didn't have all the stuff for it. And I just thought like, hey, worst case scenario, I could just buy a box here. They'll throw some peanuts in it. We're going to be good to go. And by the time it was all said and done, I ended up, I think I lost money. I might have broke even on it, but the shipping was so much. And they're like, yeah, well, we got to put the peanuts, and we got to do this, and we got to, and looking back, I could have definitely shipped it for a lot less had I known what I was doing. But yeah, I mean, you really got to know the options that are available to you, because you can certainly ship something wrong and it ends up breaking or doesn't arrive safely. You can pay way more than you need to if you're using the wrong shipping service, or if you don't know how to do it yourself, you don't know how to purchase your stuff through eBay. So we're definitely gonna be talking about ways to make sure that you are using the absolute best methods to ship your items, so that way they arrive safely, that you have the environment around you, like your workstation at home, set up so that you can do these things yourself, and so that you're saving money, whether it's through pirate ship, eBay labels, and buying your own shipping supplies.
No, agree. And I would say, now that we've kind of laid the groundwork for like why it's important to continue learning how to ship and what to ship, I think it's really important to figure out like how to ship things out based on the categories, right? So for example, you have ground advantage. So ground advantage is anything USPS that is a pound or less. Now, it used to be first class mail, it used to be cheaper. It's kind of pricey. So you got to make sure to check it out, because sometimes you may be able to ship something priority if you have like a padded priority envelope that costs the same thing as ground advantage, and it'll get there faster and helps, with customer service. Or you may get something that costs a lot as far as priority, but you see the ground advantage, and I know they wanted priority, but it's only going to be like a day or two later, and it's still going to be within the eBay window. That it's maybe good to go down that road. So,
and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, ground advantage is up to like, what is it, like 70 pounds?
Yeah, it's basically what UPS, like, standard or whatever it's called.
Yeah, so I mean, you're for most people, you're not going to be, even when I shipped that pretty heavy turntable, it was not 70 pounds, right? So like, have I shipped things over 70 pounds? Yes, but it's I would say, unless you're in a very specific niche and you're selling very specific types of items, it's not going to be your regular. So yeah, USPS ground advantage is a very useful way that you can ship that. I mean, another thing too, you talked about a little bit USPS ground advantage and then also first class, but you also have things like media mail, right? So sometimes it can be just as cheap in some ways to ship Ground Advantage, or cheaper to ship Ground Advantage and not use media mail. But there are times when media mail still ends up being the cheapest. The bummer with media mail is it takes a little bit longer to get to customers. And so you kind of have to weigh out like, hey, I'm going to save $2 on shipping this, but it might take 8 days for it to get to them instead of like 2 days to get to them. And so is that worth it for my reputation as an eBay seller to save that $2 on shipping? Now, if you're shipping nothing but media mail, you're tons and tons of media, yeah, I mean, that's how you're going to make your money. But if it's just a one-off, it might be worth paying up a little bit if it's not cheaper, which again, a lot of times it can be cheaper just to do Ground Advantage. But if you're thinking, hey, I'm going to save an extra $1 or $2 through media mail, it might not be worth it because customers might get upset or just not purchase from you if you have that set as your primary shipping method.
3 weeks shipping time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would encourage everyone though is go on the USPS website and there are free shipping supplies. If you're brand new, you probably didn't know this, but there are free shipping supplies. Now, obviously, when you ship, you're going to have to pay for the label, but you can get free flat rate. So it's good to get familiar with the flat rate. So I would say get a flat rate envelope. I would say get a padded flat rate. I would say get a lot of those. That is the one I use the most. You can ship shoes in there. You can ship jackets in there. You can ship duffel bags. You can ship all kinds of stuff on those. I also encourage people to get
mugs
the medium
if you wanted to.
You say bugs?
Mugs.
Mugs. Yeah, you can ship mugs. Yeah. You can check our Mug Life video that we're going to link. No, we're not going to link it to this video. But anyways, if you put search Pierce a Podcast Mug Life, it's a great video that you should watch. It really is good. I am very proud of that video. But yeah, you could ship pretty much anything. Not anything, but as long as it fits, right? The thing with the priority boxes, the flat rates, is as long as it fits, it ships.
Speaking of which, I don't want to derail us too much here. I'm usually not the one to derail off topic, but have you seen all the back in the day when they would have like the websites and stuff that would show all the different things you could ship? Like you could really ship anything as long as you stick like enough postage on it and you have the address. Like you could ship a brick, you could ship a balloon. Like people shipped all kinds of random items. Well, I watched this video where this guy had made an entire business. He had a website at the time. I think he sold it and made a killing off of this idea. But he shipped potatoes and he would like put the postage and write the address, and people would buy these potatoes from him, and he would just write messages on these potatoes, like jokes or like funny messages. Like I could send you a potato. And so you open up your mailbox, you got a potato in there. So you really don't even need packaging for certain items. I mean, you really could just ship certain things. I mean, a lot of times when you buy stuff from Amazon, it comes in the box. Like it's not even in or floated in another box. It's like, oh, here are my diapers, and it's just the diaper box. So you can take items that could be shipped like that, and if it fits into a flat rate envelope, you're kind of just covering the item up and then getting that price instead of shipping it for the price that it is. So Travis here says flat rate is extremely overpriced. Yeah, I think I'd probably agree a lot of times that it can definitely be overpriced for sure. But again, it just kind of depends on what it is you're trying to ship. If you can fit something that's really heavy or awkward into one of those envelopes, or even like box wise, and it could be very helpful if you're like the weight. It really is not going to be for every item, but for certain items, it might save you. So that's why you got to know what's available to you.
Well, I always charge shipping now. Like I've stopped doing free shipping a long time ago. And in this podcast, we're not going to go on the reasons why or why not. But what I'll say is the reason I like the flat rate box is it's one less box I have to find, right? It's one less box I have to buy, right? It's there. Like today, I didn't have enough boxes. I sold 2 hats, and I wanted to ship them out Ground Advantage, obviously, because I'm not going to ship them out priority. But I couldn't find. I'm still in the middle of a move, which I shouldn't be because it's already been about a month. I don't know. It's been a little while. But I just didn't have any shipping boxes. So I'm like, so I ended up like, what did I ship in? Oh, I used the box that was, trash bags where you get trash bags. I used one of those boxes. And then I used the box for all my cooking utensils I just bought. Right? I wasn't happy about it, but I needed a box.
Did you flip them inside out?
No.
So I thought the same thing. I was like, why? I mean, I've shipped a lot of things in diaper boxes, but then there is that element of like, hey, you kind of want it to look, a certain way. And so I saw somebody on a previous comment, because I had said that I had shipped something in. Oh, you know what it was? I think it was the Topo Chico box from Sam's Club. It's a big box, and I would ship them in that stuff and then just wrap it with eBay tape. But there is an element of like, hey, when somebody gets something, do they really care? Maybe not, but there are weirdos out there, and they might be like, well, my Spode China came in a Tapachico box, and it was really ugly, and so you could easily cut the box, like open it up, cut it, flip it so it's inside out, and tape it that way, and then it'll look just like a brown box, and they won't even see the printing until they open it up. Is it an extra step? Yes, but for some people, it's worth it to not be shipping stuff, and especially if it's like, hey, you probably don't want to ship something in like an iPad box or something, right? Or something that's expensive, because
I would just
the
sell
chances.
an iPad box.
Right, but you get what I mean. I'm just mean like
Yeah.
if it's an item that somebody like a porch pirate might be interested in, you probably don't want to ship in that box. You probably want to flip that box inside out.
Yeah, no, you got to be careful. Like for example, I had a Z bars like box, but if people got peanut allergies, like I don't want to ship out that box, right? I don't know if there's peanuts in there, but I want to be careful. So you got to be aware of that. I've seen the famous Hot Pocket box that people use to ship video games, like.
I used to ship in like meat boxes, like on the box itself it said like
no,
frozen chicken, and I'm like, man, somebody's gonna get this, and if they're like a vegan, like they're gonna be very upset.
That'd be a funny negative feedback. So speaking of negative feedback, this is off topic real quick. No, I'll whine about it next week. I'll whine about it next week. All right. So hey, so I truly I see what Travis is saying, but I think it doesn't hurt. Like if for me, like all my shoes, I end up shipping priority. So if they're small enough to fit in a padded priority, I charge. I think I charge a little bit less than the cost, just because I'm trying to stay competitive. If it's a larger one, I charge $14, whatever. I've never had an issue with it, but it's good to get familiar with it. I would say just get those free shipping supplies. They're free anyways. It doesn't hurt. So okay. And then also be just familiar with like UPS Ground, UPS FedEx. I think over time you'll figure this out, but make sure don't sleep on that. Like if somebody buys something and you look and there's a greater discount on UPS Ground or FedEx, like I find that a lot of times FedEx home delivery is cheaper than US Priority, and it gets there faster, or maybe it gets there a day later. And if you're like a top rated seller, sometimes you'll get like 67% off, 80% off. So don't sleep.
You just got to be careful that you're not shipping to a PO box or to like a
Oh, it's the
military base,
worst.
because
Yeah.
sometimes if you select FedEx, like if they didn't select FedEx, they selected USPS, or that was just what the listing was, and you're like, hey, FedEx is cheaper, UPS is cheaper, and it's going to a military base or something, sometimes they won't get them. Like it has to be a USPS, or if it's a PO box. So just double check where it's going before you decide to change it on your own. And that's something that we do, or at least I do. I'm not going to speak for Orlando, but there are times where it's like, hey, they selected media mail, but I'm actually going to send this Ground Advantage, and I doubt they're going to complain. Like,
Yeah, I do that sometimes. Yeah.
or I'm going to ship this
Or I'll do the
FedEx
opposite because it's too expensive, and I'll go to media mail.
I mean, I think you got to be careful if it's going to
depends
like
on where it's
arrive
going.
later, right?
Yeah, but if it's like within state, like it doesn't hurt, right? It's gonna get there in a decent amount of time. So, hey, just want to say what's up to Dizzle Plug, always joining us here. Dizzle Pug, sorry about that. And K says, has USPS been delayed recently? I have not noticed that at all. I haven't seen that. I haven't seen a lot of resellers, but sometimes things like that do happen. Anna Alexander, thanks for joining us. Always joining us here on the lives. Appreciate you too. And so here's the other one. This is one where I would say the sooner you're able to do this, the better. And some people might disagree. But again, you want shipping to be as seamless as possible. And I'm not saying spend a ton of money, but I do think that like you need a shipping station, right? You
Yeah,
need
if
a
anybody
space that's
disagrees, they're just
dedicated.
wrong.
Okay, all right. So I do think you need a space that's designated, and it should have a scale. You can easily get a scale for like $30-$40. I do remember the good old days where I used to like use my my regular like bathroom scale. I remember using a food scale, but just get a regular scale. Like it'll make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, especially
then
because
after
the scales that you get that are for shipping, it's got the display closest to you, and the item
Yeah.
goes on top. Whereas like some especially like something like a bathroom scale, like you could be covering up the weight, and so you can't see it. So you want the display to be off. So yeah, so scale is really big. Don't be Orlando and use an old school ink printer forever for your
Wait.
labels.
We'll get there. Okay. So before we get there, I want to make sure we involve this. Make sure you have measuring tape. A lot of people forget to get measuring tape, and like you end up shipping something, and you're like, oh no, and then you end up having like rush to the dollar store, go to Walmart, call your neighbor, call Aunt Gertrude, whatever it is. Like you need to find measuring tape. So make sure you have measuring tape. But okay, so let's address the elephant in the room, or something that's happened for a long time. So when I was initially doing the podcast, I did have a beautiful Epson printer that was inkjet, and it had tons of ink, and I bought it at a thrift store, and it was great. But Mike always got on my case, was like, do you realize how much time you're wasting? Right? You're printing the label, you're using scissors to cut it out, then you're using tape to tape it on. I didn't know that it was that bad. I thought it was fine. But then what ended up happening was Eric the college picker, shipped me out a laser printer just for fun. Just said, hey, you can have it, try it out. And I was like, what? This is amazing. And then I decided I needed a thermal printer. Right.
How did I have a thermal printer before you? I mean, like you're like the OG reseller, and I'm not going to disagree with you on that one.
Okay. Well, okay, but the thermal printer changed my life for two reasons. One, you never have to buy ink again, ever. Right. Two, you can actually get the shipping labels for free from like UPS. As long as you ship a few things on UPS, you get to have all the other labels, or you can just buy them on Amazon. They're not that expensive. Okay. The other item is that it's like you don't have to get tape, right? It just prints the labels. You just separate it and slap it onto your package, and you're good to go.
And it's so fast. Like you can print out like fast, yeah. if you're printing out batch labels, like let's say you got 30 items you're shipping, you through a thermal printer, it's like what 10 seconds, 15 seconds, you got 30 labels popping out of that thing. They're so fast. It's so amazing.
So I encourage, as soon as you make a good enough amount of profit, I mean, you could go like hardcore and just use the QR code and go to the post office and have the post office print labels. But in time, you want to save yourself time. You want to be able to print the label at home, slap on that label to your package, walk past all the people in line and just drop it into the box, and you're good to go. Or take it even a step further. You can get the post office to come to your house and pick up your packages. Right. So I strongly, I before I didn't make the case, but I strongly encourage people to get a thermal printer. I have a cheap one that was like $40. It was like a Chinese version. It's corded. It's not even Bluetooth, but I've had it for 5 years and it's been fantastic. Right. It's still, it's a beast and it still runs. So don't feel like you have to get a Zebra printer or like a high-end Dymo. Like if you get just a cheap knockoff or, private label, like I think it'll still work. So be aware of that. And then along with that, make sure that you have, a good amount of poly mailers, right? If you're selling clothes, I would say even if you're selling shoes, make sure you have your bubble wrap, right? From American Bubble Boy, right? American Bubble Boy is one of our affiliates, and they have great deals on. You actually still can get the tape for 5% off, by the way. So make sure you have tape from American Bubble Boy and use our code Pure Hustle. It's good just to have these all in hand, because think of the time you waste when you have to go looking for these materials.
And the cool thing too with something like poly mailers, I mean, for the most part, I just have like plain black poly mailers. But my wife at one point, when we were doing a lot of shipping on Poshmark, she bought like cute poly mailers, like ones that had flamingos and ones that had like palm trees and various like designs. And they were still super cheap. Like you're able to get like 100 of them on eBay for, pennies each. And I was amazed at how many times, not just from Poshmark, but even on eBay, where people would comment on the packaging, like really great packaging. And so like I would be careful of like, hey, I'm selling like a men's jacket or shirt. I'm probably just going to use the black poly mailer. But hey, I'm shipping out this like woman's shirt or shoes or something like that. Throw it in one of those, and like you'd be surprised at how many times you get comments on your eBay store where it's like great packaging, just because you use something that's a little bit different than they're normally used to seeing. So it's not that much more expensive, and so one of the cool things with poly mailers is they're so flexible with what you can put in them, and you can get all kinds of different designs. Heck, you can even probably brand to your store. So like if you are like, hey, I sell whatever old wooden items like antiques, or I sell Magic the Gathering cards or whatever it is, and you want to like brand these poly mailers, you could probably get branded ones too with like your store information on it, and just be, or like a promo code on the poly mailer. So there's a lot of options out there and ways that you can use your shipping in order to like take your store up to the next level. Speaking of which, we didn't mention this here. We talked about free shipping supplies you can get through like the USPS. But you also, if you've got a store on eBay, you got a coupon that you should be using to, if you're not buying boxes, because maybe you're like, hey, I buy in bulk on Uline, or I, go to wherever else and I get my boxes. Get some eBay tape, get things that are like really simple, or a certain size of eBay boxes, because it's really nice just to have that too. I think it's sharp branding. It looks good. So, don't forget to use those coupons. I have forgotten a couple times and it's heartbreaking.
Oh, I know. I forgot last quarter. So I lost $50. So, hey, so this next one, I don't know. What, Mike, are you big on like packing ahead of time or packing after the sale?
It depends. So certain items I have packed ahead of time. One of the ways that I would say it's like almost guaranteed it's going to be packed ahead of time is if it was eBay to eBay arbitrage. So let's say I bought something on eBay, as long as the packaging was pretty decent in the first place and not like too big. Like if it's a huge package for a small item, I'm going to repackage it. But sometimes I'll just take the item out, take pictures, and put it back in. There's other things where it's like, hey, this is actually going to be easier for me to like store on my shelf. It's going to be easy to pull one out, slap a label on, and send it. But usually I don't pre-package items. I just know what size boxes I need to make sure I have those on hand, or whatever shipping supplies that I need.
All right, so here, let's see what Silver Fox Finance says. Here it says, late on the video, but I use a laser printer and fold the label in 2025. So I sold 10 times a week, so it's fine for my operation. Yeah, you're right. You're right. If you're somebody that's selling 10 items a day, then you probably don't want to do that, right? But 10 items a week, yeah, it's not that bad. Like today, I had 10 items, and I'm like, I'm so glad I had a thermal printer, So I get it. All right.
All right, what about this one? Yeah, Upstate Picker says, if it's going to take me 30 minutes to pack it, I definitely pack it ahead of time. I don't know, though. Like,
no,
I guess if you have the time, I get it. But what if you spend the time? Like, think about all the items you have, Orlando, that have not sold. So, like, are you going to spend 30 minutes to pack an item, and then it sits for a year and it doesn't end up selling, and then you spent that 30 minutes packing it? Like, it. But at the same time, you could be stuck packing it when you don't have time because it's got to go out tomorrow. So I think it's that probably is wise in some ways, but man, it would really stink to spend all the time packing an item and then it doesn't sell. Ugh.
I just think it's a huge relief when it's something that's going to take me 30 minutes to pack and it's already done, and all I have to do is go over, print the label, and put it on the package and drop it off. Like, I understand where Upstate Picker's coming from, because I've had items like that I'm like, oh, I'm so glad I packed this item, right? Like right now, I have some artwork that don't have packed, and the artwork takes me about a good 30 minutes because you have to bubble wrap it, and then you have to put bubble wrap in the corners, then you have to put cardboard on the glass side and also on the back, and then after that, you have to put it in a big enough box, and you have to float the box. Like it's a lot of work, right? I would say it's like an hour process for some of those. Yeah, exactly. Black Cat Flips, I sees what I'm saying too. Dicey fragile items I will pre-pack, but I don't seal the box in case a buyer has questions. Okay, that's wise too. That's good too, and especially if you have the space. But yeah, fragile stuff I don't like packing because I've had fragile stuff that I didn't pack and it broke because it would have been better in a box.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
breaks in storage.
I don't think there's a right answer there. So, hey, before we move on, taxes have come and gone, but you're like, I'm stressed. I still want to do my taxes. Guess what? My Reseller Genie is available for you. My Reseller Genie is software that allows you to import all your tax information from eBay and Poshmark. It's not too late. You can import it all, get it to your tax person. Use our code Pure Hustle. You'll get 15% off the first month. Again, use our code Pure Hustle. You get 15% off the first month. Strongly encourage all of you to sign up for my Reseller Genie. It's such a powerful tool, so check it out. I've been using it. My taxes aren't due till October because I delayed it, but when the time is right, I'm going to be all good. I know.
I'm disappointed.
All right. When's the last time you used Pirate Ship, Mike?
It's actually been a while because for the most part, eBay's discount has been really, really decent. So I typically just use eBay's discount. I'll never forget my wife used to have where she was employed before. Now she stays home, but her business or her company had a like contract through USPS and UPS and various organizations, and they would give the discount to employees. So if you wanted to ship something personally, you got the discount. So we didn't use it all the time because it would be a little bit excessive to always use that discount because you had to like log into the system and put in all the information. But there were times when it was like, hey, this is a really big item. And so we would use that. And then Pirate Ship came along, and Pirate Ship's discounts were pretty close because we were a little bit bummed. Like, what are we going to do when we lose this discount from my wife's employer? And then Pirate Ship was very, very good for a while for that. But then eBay kind of started passing on more of the savings to us. At least it feels like it. And so I haven't had to use them very much. I haven't had an item ship where I'm like, ooh, it's just too expensive on eBay. Let's check Pirate Ship. But it's possible that I am losing money. I don't know. I haven't really checked the price in a while. What about you?
So I've used it, but I've used it more for my personal, so like my son's in college, and he's like, hey, can you ship something out for me? And I'll go to Pirate Ship. But the reason I bring this up is there was a time when Pirate Ship was a lot cheaper, but eBay has done a really fantastic job of kind of changing that up. And if you're a top rated seller, I mean, the greatest discount I see is sometimes you'll get FedEx like 2-day or something for like 67% off or even more. It's like crazy. So make sure that you're checking out all those options. Work on becoming top rated seller. Work on having good feedback, because in the end, I'm not sure if top rated seller opens that gate, but I know right off the bat you don't get those discounts, because my son's store like has none of those discounts. But when I sell on my store, I have greater discounts. So definitely check that out. I just want to say real quick hi to Michelle here. Hello from Toronto, Canada. I listen to you guys all the time on the podcast. Happily to finally catch you live. Thanks for jumping on over.
Well,
Thanks for hitting
welcome.
that subscribe button. Very much appreciate that.
Yeah. I was going to say something about, we were talking about Pirate Ship, right? What were you saying after Pirate Ship? Anything else?
I was just talking about that eBay has definitely, giving you incentives.
Oh,
to be a top
we're talking about
seller.
top rated seller. That's right. So we had a conversation going on our Discord the other day about somebody worried about losing top rated seller. And one of the pieces of advice that somebody gave was like, hey, it might be worth it to like pretty much fire sell a bunch of items in your store, like put like 50 items on a huge sale and just sell them, even if you're breaking even on them, because that can, having a lot of sales might be that metric you need, a certain number of sales, or it could be what you need to kind of wash out negative feedback to have that percentage, not negative feedback, but a defect, right? Like, hey, one defect item, if you've only sold 10 items is brutal, but if you've sold 100 items, it doesn't matter, right? So, that's the thing too, is like going on that idea of like shipping is going to be easier, and your experience on eBay is going to be easier if you're top rated. And one of the ways you can kind of get there if you need to is sell items at a steep discount with the mindset of, hey, I'm breaking even on these items. But if you were offered like, hey, you don't have top rated seller, but if you paid us $100, you'd have top rated seller for the year. Like, I think that'd be like an easy thing for most people to say, like, hey, that's worth it. So, if you're selling a bunch of items and it ends up costing you $100 in profit because you sold them at a break even point, you still come out ahead. So that's a good tip to potentially use, especially if you're worried about your shipping costs.
No, agreed. All right, one last thing before we get into our hustles of the week. Wanted to talk about Franken signing boxes. Right. So when you're new, you're very careful. You're like, hey, I'm just going to use the box. I'm not going to alter the box. I'm not going to do anything to the box. But you can save so much money by Frankensteining a box. And what I mean is Frankenstein, sometimes what that means is you take two different boxes and you put them together, and maybe you cut a certain parts of it off to shorten the box, or maybe you end up, taking a box by itself and you get one of those box resizers and you resize the box. Like, you do whatever you can, because the money that you lose in shipping is not from how expensive the item is, it's from how it measures, right? Because you get into dimensional weight, especially with larger items like UPS and FedEx. And dimensional weight means that there's a bigger formula at play than just the length and width. It's length, width, and height. And what that means as far as volume, I know I'm not trying to lose everybody here, but you should always Frankenstein as best as you can. I would say, for example, I sell guitars sometimes, and I could ship out the guitars like in a box, right? But I'd be paying a lot more. Instead, I could bubble wrap and I can Frankenstein the box kind of like into the shape of the guitar, and I'll save a ton of inches and I'll make a ton of money. Same thing with hockey sticks. When I ship out hockey sticks, I Frankenstein the boxes, right? And it just looks like a big cardboard hockey stick, but it's better than me putting in a box, because that ends up costing a ton of money. So you definitely need to be aware that Frankensteining is a thing. I really do encourage people to experiment, because in the beginning you're like, oh man, like can I do this? Is it worth it? Is it possible? Yeah, you can Frankenstein. Frankensteining is not a problem. what the problem is if you put your dimensions wrong or you're not being honest about it. But you know, and don't let like the UPS store or the FedEx worker go like, oh, I can't ship because it's so awkwardly shaped. Like, don't do that, because that does happen, right? You'll have people say that, but no, as long as you get your dimension, your weight, you're good. All right, Mike, what do you got for us here?
That's just
on
a
the pictures,
Franken-box.
Those of you watching,
Just wanted to
Okay.
throw up a Franken-box, right? Like, there it is.
What is in
Boom,
there?
right? Like, I don't know. I just pulled one up offline. I stole this from the internet here. But yeah, I mean, boxes can sometimes look weird, right? Like you end up doing some weird stuff in order to make
I've
things
had crazier
ship
ones than
sometimes.
that.
So
Yeah,
you need to
I
take
mean,
pictures, man.
No, I got them. They're on my phone. I don't know if I can search Franken-box and it'll come up with boxes, but you know, no, I can't do it. So, but yeah, so be aware that. Okay, and don't be scared. Now, one more thing I want to add to that. Don't be scared to use priority boxes when you Franken-box. You are allowed to do that. You're not allowed to use the flat rate priority boxes, but the regular priority, you can Franken-box those. You can combine those. It's okay. It's completely legal. I do it all the time.
You know what we should do? We should have a segment, which is like where our listeners send in pictures of their Franken-boxes, and then like once a month we just like throw up pictures on our YouTube while we're talking of like, and then we could have like a "It's Alive" like Frankenstein music in the background, and then like go over like maybe we do like a contest, who has the craziest Franken-box. That would be fun. Let us know in the comments below. Do you want a Franken-box competition?
There you go. No, I've seen some good ones on social media. So, here Kelvin says, who hasn't listened to us in a while, says, appreciate you tuning in. Says, I witnessed a UPS store deny someone, told them to take it to the hub. Really? It's pretty intense. Now you are. Let's see. Did you say? No, you're not from Canada. You're from the States. I don't know. I've had people tell me that, and I'm like, no. Like, there's nothing in your policy that says I cannot ship this, right? So I would.
Yeah, you can
not
ship
leave.
potatoes, man.
You could ship potatoes. There you go. That should be on our new hoodies. Once we get 10,000 subs, you can ship potatoes. So, all right, hey, let's get into our hustle of the week. We're over halfway through our show. Our hustle of the week are huge scores that people have had, that people come in and like email us or they'll share with us on social media. So let's check some of these out.
Come on, hustlers. It's the freaking hustle of the week. Yeah, hustle of the week. All right, let me make my screen a little bigger here. My eyesight is not what it used to be. All right, so our first hustle of the week comes from Pike from the Discord. Says, been waiting for the 30-day window to close. Finally has on all of them, so it's time to share. Around late January, early February, I went and got a Vivor pallet from a new vendor. Vivor mostly does tools and commercial, maybe it's Vevor, mostly does tools and commercial equipment, but they do pretty much everything. The cost on the pallet was a little over $1,000, so a pretty decent risk buying from somewhere new. It had a little box with 7 of these Meraki MR28 wireless access points. I didn't really connect the dots, they might be worth something, until I pulled them out and saw the AT&T sticker on the boxes. Not a category I'm super familiar with, and not a lot of sold comps to back me up. Listed high at $199.99 and sold all at the price except for one, and I took an offer of $160. Surprisingly, most actually sold in quantity, so a sale of 2 and a sale of 3. Gross was around $1,300 to $1,400, which brought the net to $1,022.71. So a few big sales left from the pallet should leave me at double, but it would have been a lot more stressful without these little things. That's fantastic. I mean, when you get something like that can basically make the pallet pay for itself, and then now you've got profit. So now you're going to make $1,000 off this sale if everything else sells that you're hoping for. Man, that's great. You took a risk and it paid off. So congratulations, Pike, and appreciate you being a member of our Patreon and being on our Discord as well.
Yeah, agreed. I'm always a big fan of people that do pallets. Like, pallets are risky to me. Like, I've never done a pallet. You've done like a box, like you did like a Macy's box, but I've never done a pallet. But hats off to you. All right, this comes from the Frisk from our Discord. In case you're wondering how you can join our Discord, you can go over to patreon.com/Pures the Podcast, or go to the link below. And what that does for $5.55 a month, right? Less than a coffee, less than a McDonald's breakfast, I think, unless you get 2 sausage burritos and you got a coupon. But pretty much for $5.55 a month, you get access to our Discord, right? You help support us. We've dropped 447 free episodes, and the reason being is because of all of our supporters via Patreon. And so thank you to all of you that continue to support us, and we encourage others of you to support us. And if you're like, I don't know if I want to support, but you want to jump to the Discord, that's fine with me too, because I guarantee you that 555 will seem like nothing based on all the information you'll get, the stuff you'll learn, the bolos, the hustle of the week, the knowledge. It's definitely worth it to be part of the Pure Hustle community. So check us out, patreon.com/Pure Hustle Podcast, or go to link below for $5.55 a month. All right, so this comes from our Discord. It's _the Frisk. Picked up 3 Nitro RC cars from Goodwill. Oh my,
Nice.
Goodwill. Yeah, right. Whenever somebody beats Goodwill, I'm happy. For a total of $111 yesterday. So paid up a little bit. Listed one in an auction. Already have a bid of $199. So you're in the profit already. That's great. Plus shipping, and sold the other 2 to the same person for a total of $725. They are large, so I'm expecting shipping to be a good amount, but I cannot complain after turning a huge profit in 24 hours. The auction ends Friday evening, so I'm hoping there's a bidding war for that last truck. And I gotta tell you, yeah, those RC cars, like, there's money. I mean, in San Diego, I was in East County, San Diego, and there's a city called Santee, and in the shopping center, they would have like RC races, like 50 adult men would be like watching RC cars race like in the parking lot, right?
It's a hobby, man. It's a legit thing.
It is a hobby. So yeah, don't sleep on those. I've sold like shells for nitro cars for like hundreds. I've sold chassis. I've sold all kinds of things. So nice work there, the Frisk.
Nice. All right, so our next one comes from Katie. This is a Gmail. So again, thank you to all of you who send us emails. Email is probably the one place we're the worst at getting back right away, but we do get to our emails, so thank you so much. So Katie says, I'm excited to share my latest hustle of the week with you. So over the last several years that I've been a reseller, I've probably sold a half dozen or so cash registers. I normally find my items at garage sales, but this one I actually found on Facebook Marketplace as a local pickup. This particular one was new open box. When I saw it, I quickly ran to comps and decided it'd be worth the $65, which is more than I normally pay for them. I can usually find them for under $20 at garage sales. So I picked it up and listed it right away, and within 2 weeks, I sold a new open box Sharp XE843S electronic cash register for $570 plus shipping. The bonus was the customer wanted me to keep an eye out for more just like it, so I have a potential repeat customer. Thanks, as always, for all the hard work you both put into the podcast. Man, Katie, that's awesome. It's cool that you've got a niche like that. I've sold a handful of cash registers. I've passed up on a few because I wasn't 100% sure if they were working right, but you can't go wrong with a new open box. That's the way to go for sure.
No, that is, the pain of shipping that register is worth the $500, right, that you made from that transaction. So nice work there. Okay. All right. So I know Mike shared that he didn't have a hustle of the week, right? Am I right about that? So I'm gonna move on forward.
Yeah, just time wise, want to
no, I get
keep
it.
going. Yeah,
I get it. So I don't know if you remember, I went to somebody's somebody was cleaning out like their house and organizing it, and I bought a bunch of Kansas City Chiefs jerseys, and I sold all of those prior to the Super Bowl. I paid $200, I think, no, not even $150 for everything. Bird made over $1,000 on that whole transaction, but I had 2 jerseys that I listed and didn't sell, and I thought they would sell. I had one that was a Bo Jackson jersey, which I'm still waiting to sell. But Bo Jackson's a big deal. Like, Bo Jackson, I think, was one of the greatest athletes of all time. I don't know if you're in Bo Jackson, but he played for the Royals, he played for the White Sox in baseball, and he also played football for the Raiders. Right? He was incredible. Well, there's another guy in the Royals, George Brett, right? George Brett, those of you that are Gen X, you remember George Brett. Well, I sold the George Brett jersey. You remember, I already made a ton of money, so I maybe paid like $5 when you lump everything together, and I ended up selling it for not huge. It wasn't huge, but for $91.11 plus shipping, right? And I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, this is what I love about hauls. This is why I always tell people negotiate low, because you don't know. I remember when I negotiated that price of $150 for everything. I did that because I really didn't know if the stuff was gonna sell. Like, I had to look at comps, but the comps weren't great. I did some research, so I told her, I said, hey, I'm comfortable with 150. Because I really don't know. Well, in the end, it ended up paying off. I ended up, I've made close to $2,000 profit on that pickup. And this George Brett one was the last one. I have a Bo Jackson jersey that I'm hoping to sell for $200 to $300. But I'm always happy to go on those hauls. I did go sourcing, by the way. I'll share that on our update episode next week. I was a little rusty, I got to tell you, a little rusty, but it's all good. I'll share that next week. So make sure to tune in next week to our update episode. All right, hey, before we move on for our next few things here, if you're not following us on social media, we are Pure Soul Podcast on all platforms. We are Pure Soul Cast on X. You can always shoot us an email at puresoulpodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening to the podcast for the first time, or maybe you've been listening for a while and you've never checked out our YouTube, come on over. Just hit that subscribe button. We want to get over to 10,000 followers, 10,000 subscribers, because that opens many doors for us, and I want to make sure to make that happen. So come on over. And then last of all, always grateful for all the people that leave reviews. And so I just want to share a couple here. Maybe this is a repeat one, but it's been so long. But we are the most reviewed reselling podcast out there, and we are the number one podcast out there. Thanks to all of you that tune in on a weekly basis. So this first one comes from LuckyFin31. It says, great, informative, and organized. Thankful to Mike Orlando for being my unofficial coworkers each week. Reselling is such a fun business, but can often feel sold only. Mike and Orlando help fill the social void of being a solo entrepreneur while also providing great information, entertaining stories, and keeping me up to date on important reseller news, bolos, and lessons they have learned along the way. Listing items on eBay is pretty mundane, true. But when you have Mike and Orlando in the background while you list, it's much more enjoyable. Thanks, guys. Well, thanks so much. Like you said that. I'm going to just ride that all week. So here's the next, last one here. The reason I share these is that these do help. Like when you give us 5 stars on iTunes and you let people know why you enjoy the podcast, it really does push in the algorithm. This comes from Kinzel6700. Has been listening since the beginning, since 2018, since episode 01. Can't wait for the next podcast. I really enjoyed the book reviews. Wish you could do more of them. Okay, so people are wondering, like, book reviews. So there was a time in the lore of Pure Soul Podcast where Mike and I used to actually like read books, not on the podcast, but we would read them and then we would review them. And we had a ton of books. I mean, we did Atomic Habits. We did, was it the Babylon book? What is it called?
Richest Man in Babylon.
Richest Man in Babylon. We did the 4-Hour Work Week. We did Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We did the Napoleon Hill book, which we're not a fan of. We did we Never Split the Difference, which was, I would say, one of our best books that we reviewed. So I don't know. Maybe Mike. Maybe soon. Maybe soon. I would say if we get to 10,000 subs, I'm open to start doing a couple of those again.
Yeah,
just
for sure.
Seeing how it goes, right? But if you don't know what we're talking about, just type in the search bar Pure Soul Podcast book reviews, and there's a bunch of books that we reviewed that we actually tied it into reselling. So it wasn't just us talking about the books. It was about how does this apply to reselling. All right. So let's wrap up our discussion here on shipping. And so this last one, I put notes here, and Mike's probably like, what do you mean? So I am a big believer that make sure you spend the right amount of money to protect your item, right? Don't be cheap. Don't cut corners, because a broken item will cost you a lot more. It'll cost you the broken item. It'll cost you the fees. It'll cost you the time that you wasted. So one of the best ways to protect things, for example, I do this all the time. If I have anything that's not clothing, but I'm sending it in a poly mailer, I bubble wrap it, then I wrap it in cardboard, and then I put it in the poly mailer. Right? I do this a lot with vintage toys. I do a lot with video games if they're expensive video games. You just want to do everything you can to keep your items safe, right?
Yeah, and honestly, like just having like something you can wrap in cardboard is such an easy thing to do, right? Like you have cardboard in pretty much every item you get in your pantry. You know, you've got cardboard. It doesn't even have to be the thickest cardboard, but a lot of times just rolling something in some cardboard, giving it like a rigid like edges and corners, even if it's like a tube shape, can be very, very helpful. It helps prevent that like impact of it falling and hitting. It could be pretty much any type of cardboard. It doesn't have to be like floating a box, right? Like you can just roll an item in some cardboard, and like you said, bubble wrap it first, make it really nice and tight, and then it gives it that rigid structure that's going to prevent it from getting damaged. And that's a lot of times an easier way even than floating a box, because when you start floating boxes, and which at times it is necessary to float boxes. I'm not saying you could always just roll something in cardboard, but when you float a box, the outside box has to get bigger and bigger and bigger to accommodate for what's being floated inside. And so your shipping costs can skyrocket, where if you are getting an item and you wrap wrap it in bubble wrap and then roll it in some cardboard, it can make a huge difference in the size of your final box that's being shipped, and then reduce those shipping costs, which ultimately is what we're looking for.
100% agree. 100% agree. All right, we're going to jump to two more here, which I think are important. So international shipping. Okay. Listen, you are losing a lot of money if you're not doing international shipping. eBay, I believe, has the best system out there. So if you have eBay international shipping, all it does is you sell something and you ship it to somewhere domestically, and then eBay takes care of the rest of it. But not only does eBay do that, eBay, if you end up getting a request for a return, eBay will eat the cost of the return. And they've been actually true to their word. Like for 2 years, they've been doing that. And I've had a few items that people wanted to return, and I called eBay, and eBay's like, no, we'll take care of it, and we'll handle it, right? So eBay will deliver it. You cannot get negative feedback from international sales. So what do you got to lose? Like it's not, I remember the early days, there wasn't global shipping, there was not international shipping. You basically had to like get a customs form, and then you had to fill that out, and you had to do all that. No, you don't have to do any of that. So if you're brand new, okay, make sure that your store is set up for, or your store, even if you don't have a store, make sure all your items are set up for eBay international shipping. I would say probably 25% of my sales still go to that. So think about that. Like when things were really good, when I was pushing 6 figures, right, or more, sometimes a decent amount more, like it was great because, think about, if I'm talking about, 25% of my sales were going to international, like that's a lot of money that I would have been leaving on the table had I not been doing international shipping. And the beauty about international shipping, most of the time, they don't mess around. Like they just buy it right out. They don't send you an offer. They don't haggle you. They don't message you. They see something they want. They know they can't get in their country, and they'll buy it right away. So make sure to take care. What are your thoughts there, Mike?
Yeah, no, I think that's good. I think typically the cost for buyers is significantly higher, whether it's GSP or whether it's international shipping. The buyer is going to have to pay more, so it tends to be your higher end items that are going to sell, right? It's not going to be a $5 cheap item that you can get off a Temu type of thing that's going to sell, or even something like, like if it's just a regular pair of shoes that they can get anywhere. But if you've got something really unique, that's more likely to sell international, and a person being willing to pay the shipping on it. So it doesn't hurt to just turn it on everything, but it is so simple. I remember when we first started, it was one of those things, at least for me, where I was like, man, I don't know, it just seems like extra work. It seems like it'd be hard. And at the time, like the global shipping program was the method that was significantly easier, but they've definitely made a lot of changes to their international shipping program that makes it, pretty much just as easy as the GSP.
It's the same thing. Like if it's you're not doing anything different. That's the beauty of it, right? I mean, and you have to remember, eBay is the only one that's really a competitor in this. Poshmark doesn't have international shipping, right? Mercari, I don't know if they do, but I wouldn't waste my time with them. Like eBay has the best amount of buyers, the best seller protection when it comes to international shipping. Again, if you are not doing international shipping, you are definitely leaving money on the table. Okay, so this last one I want to leave to the end, because I want to leave these to the people that were loyal to the end, because I know they will try to understand what I'm saying here, because it is kind of difficult to explain. So one of the best ways to save yourself time is to establish shipping policies. So the way you establish shipping policies is you go to my eBay account and you click on your account, and then you go to policies and you go to shipping. What does that do? Okay, so depends on what you're selling, but you have presets set. So for example, all my clothing, I have that it's going to be ground advantage, and I charge everybody $4 for all my clothing. Okay, so I don't have to do the guesswork. I don't even have to weigh anything. That's just what I charge. And sometimes it ends up being more than $4. Sometimes it's around $4. A lot of the times it ends up being more, but that's okay because it keeps me competitive. When I end up shipping shoes, okay, depending on the shoes, I have a preset for its padded shoes, which means padded priority, and I charge $8. I don't have to, weigh it. I don't have to figure things out. I just pick that when I do my listing. Or I have medium flat rate, and medium flat rate is already set, right? So you want to set this up so to streamline things, so you're not spending a lot of time doing guesswork and so on. It just makes your life a lot easier, right? So don't stress on that. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yeah, no, that's good.
So I leave that towards the end because that's more of an automation thing, but it's really easy if you've been shipping for a while, because you're brand new. Like you're not even thinking about those things, but eventually when you have a good amount of items, you know how to ship certain items, and so you can. And in some ways,
I I would almost say if you're a new seller, unless you're like jumping in and you're automatically trying to get your store to 1,000 and you're like figuring it all out and you're spending a lot of time learning all these things, it might actually not be a bad idea not to have automation on or like those shipping policies set up to start with, just so you learn like what items do go in what boxes, what carriers are best. Because then when you're setting up your policies, you're going to know what the right things are because you've already learned from your mistakes. It's better to make a mistake on one item and realize, oh man, like this box or this method of shipping would have been better for this item. I might have lost $1 or $2 in shipping on this, doing it this way. Next time I'll do it this way. And you can kind of figure that out by making mistakes if you don't have those shipping policies set. But once you kind of learn the ropes and you figure out, hey, I'm always going to ship this way now for this item until things change because this is the cheapest, easiest way for me to ship, create that shipping policy, and then you're good to go.
Yep, there you go. There you go. Hey, so appreciate everyone in the comments, everyone that's been listening. I want to encourage you, if you're brand new, don't be scared. Take that jump. Find that item. If it's profitable, right, and you think you can ship it, that's the other. You know what? Let's land here for a little bit before we end it. Make sure that when you source stuff that you're willing to ship, right? Because that's the other side of shipping, right? Where you can end up sourcing a bunch of stuff and you never list it because you're like, oh man, the headache it would be to ship, right? And I remember when I moved, I had at least 200 to 300 items that I had sourced that I never wanted to ship, and so I never listed it. So make sure when you're sourcing, you keep in mind, like, all right, if I source this is what it's going to take for me to ship. This is the materials I'm going to need. This is the time I'm going to need. This is how much it's going to cost me. Just be aware of that. So everyone, hey, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, click on that bell notification. Thank you to all of you that listen to the podcast. Support us on Patreon. Grateful for all of you. And with that being said, make sure to be real.
Be relevant.
And be reselling late.
Peace.